Hey, it's me, Yusuke Urameshi. I'ma beat you up. Gabagoo, gabagoo. Spirit gone. Welcome back, everybody. Today, we are talking about Netflix's next, newest, most recent? Whatever. Netflix's live-action adaptation of YUYU HAKUSHO, aka the famous manga/anime created by Yoshihiro Togashi. Now, did Netflix succeed once again? Or did they continue down the route of poorly adapted anime to live action shows? Well, we'll get there. Okay? But first, the story follows Yusuke Urameshi, a misunderstood bad kid who dies after saving a little boy from a speeding truck. But rather than go to heaven or hell, he is tasked with being the spirit detective in order to come back to life and protect everyone from the evil monsters who arrive from the demon world that prey on humans and things of that nature, right? Etc. etc. That's the basic gist of it. And yeah, it's a bit of a complex story, to say the least. And within the manga and anime, a lot of the arcs are very much so uneven. There are some arcs that last 10 episodes, as short as 10 episodes, and some arcs that last 50 episodes. This type of style of storytelling makes it really hard for a live action adaptation to work. Yeah, it's a bit of a complex story once you get into the nitty gritty aspects of Yu Yu Hakusho, but because it is a bit complex, it kind of makes it a little bit hard to adapt into a live action format, mainly because of how uneven some of the story arcs are. You'll go from story arcs that last 10 episodes to things that last 50 episodes. And well, the show, because of these flaws, is just kind of decent. Yeah, let me explain. In all honesty, I don't know if the show was all good or all bad. It's kind of just in the middle. My main issue with the show is the structuring of it. Like I mentioned, it's very hard to adapt certain story arcs and storylines. And this show, it's a clear indication that this isn't a one-for-one adaptation of the source material. It's more like a remix. And this is kind of similar to what Cowboy Bebop ended up being, in that it wasn't a direct copy of the show. It went off and it did its own thing. Now, I'm perfectly okay with that. The issue with both of these cases is that it's not indicated or marketed as being that. The marketing just kind of makes it seem like it is going to be that more faithful adaptation. But because of this weird structure, it makes me kind of question the future of the show, because they kind of skim over a lot of material, more than I think they should have. But then that kind of puts the show into a question of, what does a season 2 of this show look like, if there even is going to be a season 2, because the way we have it set up from season 1, it kind of makes it seem like about half the show is over, kind of. I'll get to that in a second too, but it's weird. Do we just go straight to chapter black, or what? I don't know. But you know what, let me just butter you up a little bit. Even with this very interesting narrative, I think the cast, as most of these shows go, makes it work. Well, as much as they can. You know, there's some exceptions. By the way, I'm gonna very much butcher these names because I'm an American. I'm sorry. Takumi Kitamura was excellent as Yusuke. He truly took the character and made it his own. It kind of reminded me of the way Iñaki Godoy kind of embodies the persona of Luffy more than the one-for-one dialogue. That's how I felt about Kitamura. He did a great job at playing this very slouchy kid who acts like he doesn't care, but in reality he's got a big old heart right underneath it. He just doesn't like to show it. You know, he's got this persona he's got to keep up, and I really like this. And it all, to me, it kind of all boils down to his facial expressions. I don't know if this is a weird compliment. Like, his face just feels like Yusuke. He does this thing. He's got this mug face like 90% of the show. And I'm like, damn, if I saw Yusuke in real life, that's what he would be like. And the way he walks too. He even does the whole Yusuke thing when he's fighting. The choreography is amazing, but first let's go back to the actors. Jun Chisun was also really good as Kurama. I don't think he got as much screen time as everybody else, but he did a good job, especially in the action scenes. And he does a really good job of playing this like kind of cool, kind of smart, suave person. And for the most part, the wig looks alright. I can't lie, there are certain scenes where it is a bit overdone, but I can get over it for the purpose of this. Let's be honest. The standout of the show was Shuhei Uesugi as Kuwabara. Kuwabara is a character that everybody loves. If you mess him up, well, you're angering a lot of people. And well, they did not mess him up. When we first got the first look at them as the characters, I didn't really think he felt like Kuwabara. Like, he didn't carry that energy with him. But then once I saw him in the show, yep, that's when I knew he was gonna be damn good. Because every gesture, every line, everything, every movement just felt like Kuwabara. And it's not even in the funnier aspects of Kuwabara as a character, even in the more intense moments where you see Kuwabara play on his own sense of morals and ethics and that determination and that warrior spirit that he has inside of him. Uesugi really stood out with that, and especially his sense of honor. There's a scene where he has to cut down a boulder with a stick, and I don't know, obviously it's a little bit silly in the context of even in the context of the show it feels a little bit silly, but when he did it I was like, damn, he really sold me on that. And then when he cut it, he had this final celebration where he's just ecstatic. That's the moment that certified him as Kuwabara. Even with a stacked 3, I think 1 out of the 4 of them does drop the ball a little bit. Kanata Hongo as Hiei was just okay. To be fair, I think Hiei is one of the harder characters in this show to get right. You kind of need to get a short, grumpy, arrogant guy, and well, he played a good, short, grumpy guy. Not so much the arrogance. This arrogance kind of ties into Hiei's personality. In the source material, is arrogant and confident, and overly confident, should I say, in a cool way. And he wasn't really like that in the show. It just kind of felt like he was annoyed most of the time, just pissed off. He was a short, grumpy boy, and that's okay. But come on, it's Hiei, man. You gotta make him likable to an extent. And he didn't really come off as likable in the show. He just felt more like an asshole. And like I said, he's one of the harder characters to adapt. He walks a very fine line. But when he's overconfident and he does smile in kind of an evil way, it feels good. It feels cool. And well, yeah, Hongo didn't really excel in that realm. But now where he did excel in regards to Hiei is the choreography. Goddamn, the choreography in the show is... See? 2 chef's kiss. Not even 1. And everybody for that matter. And I think this is the standout aspect of the show, is the fact that they mix so much hand-to-hand combat with fantastical elements like demons and monsters. It just felt like the creators of the show, they planned everything. Obviously, with the current state of movies, as we know, especially Marvel, sorry to take a shot at Marvel, but it's true, a lot of the CGI ends up being bad, because what happens is these movies and shows, they'll just film a bunch of stuff, right, do the visual effects, and then Marvel's like, oh, we don't like it, redo it. And of course, that wastes time and money. But with this show, it felt like they had a plan from the beginning, and they executed that plan. And that's why a lot of the CGI was really good. There's a lot of hand-to-hand combat that proves that this show has potential. And the way they utilize certain VFX elements with the real-life stuff is really cool. But even when there isn't actual fist-to-fist fighting or weapon-to-fist fighting or anything like that, when it's just a character in this dangerous situation, you can tell the choreographies really stand out. There's a scene where Yusuke's fighting one of the demons, and the demon is this big red monster, and Yusuke does not know how to use the spirit gun at this moment, so he's just kind of trying to evade him using a bunch of hiding in between cars, and it looks really good. It looks like they planned this out but also feels very promptu and feels like an in the moment thing. And this is a very fine line to walk, but the show does it excellently. Excellently? Is that a word? I don't know, it is a word now. All the choreography is good. I mean, take for example this scene of Kurama using his whip. This is straight fire. This is beauty right here. Or this shot of Yusuke with his spirit gun. Like, what the fuck? Who told you to be this good? But now, as we brought the show back up, we gotta bring it back down. For as good as these fight scenes are, it is a tad bit difficult to stay connected to them when you don't really stay connected to the overall story. With only 5 episodes, yeah, there's not enough time to do what the show was trying to do. So in the source material, Yusuke spends a lot of time with this character named Genkai. And well, in the show, he spends about 20 days with her, and then she dies, and then he's super distraught about it. And yeah, I get it's kind of sad, but it's also like, it's only 20 days. You spent less than an episode with her, and now she's already dead, and now you've gotta like avenge her. Yeah, honestly, I just wish the show had more time, which I don't get why it didn't have more time. One Piece and Avatar both have 8 episodes. This should have been at least 8 episodes. Have more time to flesh out everything and do less story arcs, because like I said earlier, they try to do way too much. It felt like they picked different elements of each story arc and just kind of put it together. That aspect didn't work for me. Had season 1 kind of set up the Dark Tournament, and then the Dark Tournament would have been season 2. But the way the show did it, it kind of made it seem like the Dark Tournament doesn't really happen, because, well, obviously the Dark Tournament is one of the greatest tournament arcs of all of anime and manga history. But one of the biggest selling points of the arc is the fight between Yusuke and Toguro, right? Towards the end of that arc, Genkai dies and gives this amazing power to Yusuke, and then he eventually defeats Toguro, and Toguro kind of like respects Yusuke. Earlier in the manga, Toguro has a fake out death, and that's kind of where the show should have ended. I mean, it was even in the same arc. In this live action version, he just kind of dies, and at first I was like, oh, it's fine, it's gonna be a fake out death, you know, new audiences don't know what's gonna happen, I know it, right? But then they kept giving him more and more time, and they were like, and then he kept getting stronger and stronger, and I was like, oh no, he's actually gonna die. And that's exactly what happens. And like I said, it doesn't really feel all that much worth it, because, well, the whole thing is about Yusuke avenging Genkai and later Kuwabara. You know, he only knew her for 20 days, so I don't know. All in all, Netflix's Yu Yu Hakusho was a mixed bag. There's a lot to like here, and there's a lot not to like here. As for what I think it was just a decent show. If you're a diehard fan of the property, I say give it a shot. It wouldn't hurt you. It's not gonna risk imposing your vision of what Yu Yu Hakusho is as a property. It feels like a good tribute to what the show is. Kind of. Sort of. A little bit. It's got good stuff. I like the cast. The cast is good. I explained that very much so. But if you're not a fan of the property, I would not check it out. I don't think it's a good introduction to what Yu Yu Hakusho is. If you want to know what Yu Yu Hakusho is, just watch the actual thing. It's really good. It's really long, but it's good. Yeah, don't check it out if you're not a fan. But if you have seen the show, let me know what you thought down in the comments. And as per usual, thank you, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch me talk about a dead kid. Until next time, see you, Space Cowboys.